Welcome to This Week in Vegas, a Bettor's View. I'm Marco D'Angelo, joined each and every week by my partner in crime, Vegas runner, VR. What's happening? It's NBA playoffs start this weekend. This is when the NBA season really counts.
Yeah, because, let's tell the truth. During the season, I watch some games here and there, we all do, but, there's a few marquee games that matter we get into as fans, but the truth is, it's such a long season. It really comes down to now in the playoffs is when I really get into the NBA.
Well, the fact that so many teams make the playoffs to start with, too.
Exactly.
And, in most NBA games, it doesn't matter. You can watch, the whole game or you can watch the last
5 minutes. Sure, exactly.
And you get the cover or not. But NBA playoffs start on Saturday. I'll give a little promo plug. We will be doing a video, VR and myself, where we talk about NBA handicapping. And we'll tell you things to look for in the playoffs, discuss a few theories of playoffs.
You've had good success through the years.
I love the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, you really have. You've taught me a lot about handicapping the playoffs.
It's great because it's a situation where you're playing the same, maybe the same team 7 times.
So a situational handicapper like yourself has such an advantage over a power rating type handicapper because your number's what it is.
Right.
What are you how much can you adjust it for? Only after a result or two. The Bulls are going to be this. This is the spread when they're in Chicago. This is the spread what it should be when they're in Cleveland. Your adjustments are going to be minuscule at best. So there's very little you could do other than that. But a situational handicapper based on game 1, game 2, game 3, game 4 result.
Public perception comes in to be more so, and we'll get into detail in this video. But baseball first week of the season.
You're starting. As long of a season as it is, I really am one who believes that early on, those first 3 or 4 weeks, you could get a good feeling for a team. And obviously, from then on, they have to stay healthy, which is key because it's such a long season. And you hope down the stretch they didn't use their arms up too much, but I think early on is when you see what a team's all about because here's where they're motivated. They are. When a season starts, you're motivated. You're not behind too much in the standings. The crowd's into it. So you see what the team really has. And that's why I like to wait on my futures till I see the first couple series because I think the teams do tell us so much. And then they get into their rhythm, into their normal routine, and they go on. The winning teams win almost 6 out of 10, and the losing teams lose 4 out of 10.
The other good thing about early season baseball for me is that us as handicappers can get in front of Vegas. We can be ahead of the value.
Way ahead of the market. You're so right. We talked about that yesterday with Dan and Mike on their show, how like a team, Minnesota Twins, the market has not caught up with how good this team just may be. Signing all them players, healthy this year.
Definitely they're a team that's making a push because it's a new ballpark this year, and that you want to get.
But the
there's
line
already
isn't
a buzz
reflecting
there.
that. They were already a dog at home this morning. With Lariano on the mound, one of their top guys, they were only a -120 favorite. So you're so right. The market takes a while to adjust, and you really can take advantage of that.
Because and that's a perfect example to segue from you saying with Minnesota. On the flip side of that, Minnesota is the unknown team, the unknown commodity of how much they've improved. And on the flip side to that, you have the Boston Red Sox with the past reputation that you're paying the premium
for
because of the
name. Exactly.
The marquee name and the past history of the last few years. So great situational handicapping, and it's just like we say it over and over again. Sports betting is just like the stock market. You want to buy low, sell high.
Exactly. And now I think because what you said is it's so new to everyone, and more or less, let's tell like it is. The odds makers, the bettors, everyone's kind of guessing. We don't have the data to support our perception because there's just the stats aren't there. We're going on
You
past.
said the key word. It's perception.
That's all it is.
You're betting on perception.
Exactly.
We're putting our expertise against Vegas's expertise, and we're the ones that are doing it for a living. So we got to be better than that.
I couldn't put it better. And we have the edge that their objective is to help balance money for the books. Our objective is to find value.
Put it in the pocket.
Exactly.
Baby.
So I think bettors have a huge advantage there. Big day coming up for the big guy next week. Marco's getting married. So I don't think we're going to have a This Week in Vegas.
Well, it's going to be one hell of a week in Vegas, let me tell you that.
Best man is sitting right here riding shotgun, and as best man, that makes me in charge of getting him to the wedding, making sure he's there, ready to go, focused on the job at hand. And more importantly, I'm also the man in charge of his bachelor party. And when you put VR in charge of a bachelor party here in Vegas, you're guaranteed a good time. So if you are going to be in town next week, you definitely want to get in touch with one of us two and find out where that party will be going.
Well, I know there's a couple flights coming in on Wednesday from the East Coast, Pittsburgh, and the boys are coming.
Yeah,
the boys
people are flying from all over. It's going to be a good time, man. I'm
my
happy
hometown
for you.
boys are coming ready to party, and I told them you're a legend, so you gotta.
They're in for a good time. Believe me. They're gonna.
Hopefully, this will not be the sequel to The Hangover, and I will not go missing in action.
No. I like your wife too much. I like your fiance too much. If it was someone I didn't like, I probably had a spite. I'd bring them there drunk. But because I do like her, I'm going to make sure you're a gentleman. At least the day of the wedding.
Well, she knows to look for me on the roof of Caesar's Palace, just in case something happens. If we're missing, check that out. But it's definitely going to be a great time next week. We don't know the schedule exactly what we're going to do. We'll probably have an early podcast next week, maybe for previewing some NBA playoff games.
That'll be
going. That'll be it next week. We'll have a different schedule. See what the big guy decides on. And
how about the books not putting out NBA lines until minutes ago?
Yeah, this is a situation. We're going to be, previewing the games for the playoffs, and me and VR during our lunch break today, we got lunch coming in. We're going to be breaking down the games together.
And it's noon on Thursday. They already knew most of the matchups. Let's tell it like it is. Most of the matchups were decided.
The West had a few things to settle yet.
But more or less, they had what this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. So you should start setting up a price.
Right.
You set up a price, you should be able to put out a number for the first game at least. Especially with the limits up for playoffs, so much more public bettors getting involved in the party. And yet they're still afraid that the odds maker's number isn't as sharp as the wise guys.
Well, I think this goes back to you correct me if I'm wrong, but it was 2 years ago where they were putting numbers on the playoffs, and the home teams in that first series was just
covering every number. Yeah.
And they couldn't bring a number out.
It was 2 years ago.
They took a lot of heat.
They were getting killed. Every home team was covering the number. I remember that.
And they were stubborn. They kept sending the number.
They wouldn't adjust. They wouldn't adjust. They stuck to those power ratings like they were, law, and they were getting killed by the public, by everybody.
Sports books were not happy with
not at all. Not at all with the job they did. So I think you're right. It's just like they learned their lesson when the St. Louis Rams won the Super Bowl, and now we'll never see odds of 200 to 1 unless a team's just about mathematically eliminated. And then they'll put it up there just so it looks pretty up there in the lights. 900 to 1.
Yeah.
But you're never going to get that before the season starts, more or less.
Not with parity anymore. Hey, this has been This Week in Vegas. I'm Marco D'Angelo. He's Vegas Runner. Be sure to check out all of the videos at pregame.tv. We'll be covering all of this week's action, preview a couple of the series. We're going to preview, just give you a teaser, the Bulls and the Cavs, and the Oklahoma City Thunder and the LA Lakers. So couple great series we'll be talking about, and how to handicap the playoffs. Good stuff. Hopefully, he won't lose me somewhere next week.
No.
But I'm Marco D'Angelo, Vegas Runner. Thanks for watching. This has been